All right, quick attempt at doing a groundwork demonstration. I have Fred here to assist me. Fred is kind of new to me. I got him about 3 weeks ago. When he first got here, he was really tense and unsure of his new program. So when he came into his arena, he was pretty uptight. And I get people that ask me, what sort of things can I do for groundwork for my horse? A lot of people, when they think groundwork, they think lunging on a long lunge line and the horses walk, trot, and canter around and then they're done. I think of groundwork as smaller circles and it's more to develop your partnership and get your horse to be comfortable with you working close to it, I guess. So I feel like when I lunge a horse, I never put them farther out on a circle than what they're comfortable with and willing to still work with me. If you put them really far out on the lunge line, a lot of horses start getting distracted and spooking at, the flowers in the corner or the bird that's flying by or just things that they don't really need to be focusing on in the first place. So, all right, I'm going to start with a little lunging demo. So what I do is I think of where the girth would be with the saddle and I try and plant myself or line myself right up with where that girth is. And I think of everything behind that as driving zone and everything in front of that as stopping zone. The farther back I go into driving zone, the stronger I am driving and, also the closer. So if I am back here, I'm in driving zone. Let's do it this way. Can you stand still? And ho. All right, so from here, if I'm back here, I'm way into driving zone. If I'm only right here, I'm sort of in driving zone. If I'm right here, I'm in like maintenance zone. And then, if I'm way over there, but lined up back here, I'm driving. But that's a very different pressure versus me being right here and driving. That's a much stronger pressure. When I ask my horse to stop, I always point myself this way. When I want my horse to go, I point myself this way. So I'm going to start with just walking him. When I want him to go out, I switch my whip into my driving hand, I guess. And, whatever you want to use as far as a whip. Sometimes I use just the tail of my rope. Sometimes I'll use a whip. Sometimes I'll use a dressage whip. Sometimes, if you want to use a flag or a bamboo stick, all of that is fine. All really has the same effect. All right, so I've got myself lined up to where that girth is. Fred's a really pretty sensitive guy. He doesn't take a whole lot of driving. And you see, I am walking a circle with him. I'm not standing here doing this. I am walking a circle with my horse. And we kind of learn each other and learn our little body language and dance. All right, so if I want to ask him to trot, what I do, I raise my lead hand as kind of a fair warning. And then I ask him to trot, trot, trot. Good boy. Again, people think that, lunging your horse on a small circle is going to make them lame. Lunging your horse like this on a small circle is not going to make them lame. Having them run around and counterbend, completely braced. Good boy. And frantic on a circle this size, yes, is going to make them lame. Having them run around completely frantic and tight on a giant circle is also going to make them more lame. Having them supple and working with you on a small circle is going to make them better. So if I want my horse to change directions, what I do, I walk backwards, get both eyes on me, switch my stick. I might even tap him in that shoulder. Good boy. Main thing is I don't move, I move my horse. I'm not rude about it or anything. I try and make my horse move around me, as much as possible. They don't have to be jumpy about it, but I want to gently program that they can't bulldoze me. So again, if I want to change directions, I'll do that a couple more times. Get both eyes. Good boy. Again. Bring him in. Good boy. Now if I want him to trot, raise my hand. Good boy. And you'll notice where my whip is. When I'm not using my whip, it's almost part of my body. It's hidden, it's like dragging on the ground. Good boy. Now if I want him to stop, I just kind of take a step into that front corridor. If he doesn't stop, ho. That's all right. And ho. Ho. Fred is also potentially semi-blind in this right eye, so I'm not sure if he can completely see me. He has some moon blindness, uveitis in that eye. So I'm not sure if that was him not understanding or if it was him not actually seeing. Trot, trot. Trot, trot. Trot, trot. Come. Good boy. All right, so I'm going to try that again and just kind of see what happens. And ho. Good boy. And ho. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Good job. All right, so he's licking and chewing. He's pretty happy. Okay. Other things we can do on the ground. When Fred first came in here, he was, like I said, he was worried about being in a new space. His neck was really tight. He was really upright. So we've been working on just getting him to just manually release all of his muscles. So I bring him in here and I kind of rub his back and rub his neck and everything. I'd like most of my horses to know how to just put their head down. So if I put my little bit of pressure at the top of his head, he'll just put his head down. So if you have a horse, well, when he first came in here, this is our third day doing this over the course of 3 weeks. If you have a horse that kind of resists against that, you put your hand on top of the head, other hand at the tip of their nose here, and you just gently work back and forth. Very gently. I mean, I'm barely touching him. Good boy. A little more. You want to just get them used to you kind of manipulating and positioning their body, that's all. And that's going to transfer also into the saddle. And then they're a little more comfortable with you positioning their body in weird positions because, you know, as we ride, we like to twist them up like little pretzels and tell them to dance that way. So they have to be comfortable with that from the get-go. Good boy. Third thing I like to do is teach my horse to turn on the haunches and turn on the forehand from the ground. You can call that like turn on the forehand. You could also call yield the hip. Depends on who you are and what your style is. Turn on the haunches. You could also call yield the shoulder. So for yield the hip or turn on the forehand, you're going to walk towards your hip. He's very responsive to this. I will, for a horse that's newer to it, I'll kind of poke right here, right on their hip. And I might even say hip, 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 good boy. So that when you get in the saddle, they've already kind of got this button installed that you can just kind of reach back with your hand while you're applying your seat and leg aids. And you can also use the word hip. And they might actually be able to connect the dots a little bit sooner. For turn on the haunches, he has a little bit more trouble with this one. This is good to get the horse to kind of free up the whole shoulder, neck, chest, thoracic area. Sorry, bud. So you want to have him, I want to be able to walk right here and he moves his whole front end away from me. Good boy. Go on. Yep. So he likes to put this leg that's closest to me, he likes to put it behind the leg that's farther away. And I'm working on trying to get him to consistently put that one in front of the other leg. And also I would like him to take a bigger step. I would like him to take a bigger step this way using the abductor muscles rather than what he wants to do is this tiny little step and then cross over, and this tiny little step and cross over. I would like him to go big step, big step, big step, big step, right? Yeah. And he also, what I was saying is he likes to go kind of forward with this one and behind with this one and forward with this one and behind with this one. So I'm trying to get him to kind of go sideways with this one and forward with this one. So how do I explain that to a horse? I don't know. So how I try and get him to do that, I have him walk straight and I basically make a box or a triangle. So 90 degrees here. Good. Come on, bub. And 90 degrees again. Good. And maybe I'll do 180. Good boy. Go on, go on, go on, go on. So it's all really about maintaining that. Go on. Good boy. Forward intent. You know, that when he crosses behind, it shows backward intent, which is a resistant kind of state of mind and space in their brain. Good boy. Come on. Yeah, that was good. Lots of breaks, lots of rewards. And then I would go ahead and do that on the opposite side, both the turn on the fore and the turn on the haunch. So I hope that helps, and I'll see you next time.